So let's talk about the digestive system. So before we start, let's have a bit of a recap of the organs or the structures that are involved in the digestive system. So let's start. Okay, so with the diagram here, label the digestive system with the parts given below. So here is a diagram, and all we have to do is to label each of these to its corresponding structure that are given in this box right here. Okay, so let's start with number one. Number one, the structure shown is the mouth. Number two, what do you think is the structure? The number two here is what you call your pharynx. Number three, which organ or structure is it? It's the liver. Number four, beneath and posterior to the liver is what you call the gallbladder. Ayan. Number five, that is the small intestine. Number six, that is your salivary glands. Number seven, that is the esophagus. Number eight, that is the stomach. Number nine, this structure shown is what you call the pancreas. Yeah. Number 10, this is what you call your large intestine. Number 10. Number 11, that is what you call the rectum. And number 12, the last one, that is what you call the anus. Okay, so I hope you remember all of these structures because this will help you advance in our lesson for today. Okay. What are the basic processes of the digestive system? So we have 6 processes which are arranged in order. Okay, let's start with the first one, ingestion. Next is we have secretion. Next is we have mixing and propulsion. The fourth process is what you call the digestion. We have absorption, and last is we have the defecation. So when we say ingestion, from the word ingest, this is the process in which it involves taking foods and liquids into the mouth. So sa madaling salita, it is what you call eating and drinking. Okay? Next, secretion. When we say secretion, it refers to the 7 liter per day secreted by the accessory glands. Okay? So example ng mga secretions is we have water, acid, enzymes into the lumen of the GI tract. Okay? Next, we have mixing and propulsion. When we say mixing and propulsion, it refers to the contractions and relaxations allow food to mix with fluids and propel towards the anus. So para maghalo-halo po yung ating mga food, the components and the nutrition that the food is bringing towards your body, then we need mixing and propulsion. And then para din po, yung ating waste will go towards our anus or para ma-defecate natin siya or para ma-eliminate natin yung ating waste products sa ating katawan, we need mixing and propulsion. Okay? Next, we have digestion. So your digestion actually could be two. It could either be mechanical and could also be chemical. When we say mechanical digestion, it is when your teeth cuts the food. Okay? So pag hinunguya natin siya, that is mechanical digestion. And also such as chewing, that is still mechanical digestion. Swallowing is also under mechanical digestion. For chemical digestion naman, it is when the proteins, carbohydrates, fats are broken down to smaller molecules through hydrolysis, in which enzymes produce the salivary glands. So from the production of the salivary glands, that is the start of the chemical digestion. And then when the proteins or carbohydrates and fats are broken down because of these salivary glands, that is still chemical digestion. Okay? So we also have different types of molecules that doesn't need for chemical digestion para ma-break down siya because it is already in a simpler substance. Examples of these, we have vitamins, ions, cholesterol, and water. Again, vitamins, ions, cholesterol, and water, we don't need chemical digestion in order for it to break down. Okay? Next, fifth process is the absorption. Absorption is the entrance of ingested and secreted fluids, ions, and the products of digestion into the epithelial cells lining the lumen of the GI tract. And then last is we have defecation. Defecation is the process of eliminating digested food which were not absorbed. The eliminated material is termed the feces or the feces. Okay, that's spelled as Feces. So that is what you call your eliminated material for the digestive system. Okay? Pero kapag sa urinary system, yung ating ihi, we call that one as urine, which contains urea. Okay? Or urea. So your digestive system is divided into two groups. We have the gastrointestinal tract, or that is what you call your GI tract, and we have the accessory digestive organs. Now, let's differentiate between the two, and let's also categorize the organs that belong to which group. Okay? So, saan-saan kayo nabibilang? Ano-ano kaya ang mga organs na under these two groups? So, for the gastrointestinal tract, the mouth belongs to the GI tract, the pharynx, the esophagus, the stomach, the small intestine, and the large intestine. So, wala nang iba. So, all of these, the mouth, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, and large intestine, all belongs to the GI tract. Okay? How about for the accessory digestive organs? So, your accessory digestive organs, we have here the teeth, we have the tongue, the salivary glands, we have the liver, we have the gallbladder, or that's the GB, and we have the pancreas. So all of these belong to the accessory digestive organs. Okay? Let's proceed with the mouth. Okay, so si mouth, dito muna tayo kay GI tract. Under that is we have the mouth. So una tayo kay mouth. So the mouth is formed by, we have the cheeks. Yung soft palate also forms the mouth, the hard palate, and we have the tongue. So all of these structures forms the mouth. Your mouth is also referred to as the oral or the buccal cavity. Okay? The oral or the buccal cavity. Your cheeks here, okay, dito sa cheeks, sa sides, both sides, your cheeks are referred to as the lateral aspects of the mouth. Okay? Your lips naman, these are fleshy folds surrounding the opening of the mouth. Okay? So, ang muscle po that is responsible for the cheeks is again the buccinator. If you can still remember sa ating muscular system na topic, yung lips naman, yung muscle na andyan is we have the orbicularis oris. Okay? Next, we have the palate. We have the soft and the hard. The palate, in general, separates the oral cavity from the nasal cavity. Okay? So your hard palate is composed of the maxillae and the palatine bones. Okay? And then the soft palate is what you call the posterior portion. So yung ating hard palate is the anterior portion, yung sa harap. Okay? And then your soft palate is yung nasa likod. Posterior to the hard palate is your soft palate. So this is your hard palate, anterior. This is your soft palate, that is the posterior portion. Next, ano ito? Itong naghahang, okay? So that is what you call your uvula. Okay, uvula. Your uvula hanging from the soft palate, drawn superiorly during swallowing so food will not enter the nasal cavity. So ito siya, if you're going to swallow your food, kani siya, musaka daw ni siya pataas. Okay, musaka na pataas pa. So musaka ni siya pataas in order for you not to choke, para hindi pupasok yung ating kinakain sa ating nasal cavity. So yan ang purpose ng uvula. Okay? Sige. Next slide. Okay, let's proceed with the salivary glands. Your salivary glands is again an accessory organ, okay, or accessory digestive organ. So there are three major pairs of salivary glands. We have the parotid gland, we have the submandibular gland, and we have the sublingual gland. So as you can see, they are all named from where they are actually located. Submandibular, sub meaning beneath the mandibles, that's submandibular gland. You have sublingual, we have sublingual. Lingual is what you call your tongue, that's beneath the tongue, and then the parotid here is the posterior portion of the mouth. Okay? These three pairs of major salivary glands release secretions called the saliva. Okay? And then in order for this, syempre, hindi naman pwede na magpundo lang ang imuhang laway sa imuhang baba. So there should be a drainage. Okay? And then in each gland, meron siyang mga large drainage, meron siyang mga large ducts in which it is where the saliva will drain. Okay. So for the parotid gland, ang nagde-drain ng saliva from the parotid gland is the Stenson's duct. The submandibular gland naman, yung duct na nagde-drain ng saliva from the submandibular gland is the Wharton's duct. And the sublingual gland naman is we have the Bartholin's duct. So again, itong mga duct na ito, we have the Stenson's, Wharton's, and Bartholin's are ducts which drains the saliva. Okay? So hindi lang po ito sila ang mga ducts that are present in each gland. Marami pa silang mga ducts, but these are the largest among all of the ducts na present for each salivary gland. Okay? Next. The tongue. Okay. The tongue, as you can see, we have here the lip, the tongue, we have the sublingual glands, and the floor of the mouth. Okay. So the tongue is an accessory digestive organ composed of skeletal muscle covered with mucous membrane. Okay. So your tongue, as you can see, meron tayong tinatawag dito na ganito. Kani siya murag nipis na murag magisi if ever you're going to raise your tongue superiorly. Okay, if you're going to project your tongue superiorly or isaka ni may imuhang dila, di ba na murag nipis kaayo na strand dira, this one here, that is what you call your lingual frenulum. Okay, what does your lingual frenulum do? Your lingual frenulum limits the movement of the tongue posteriorly. Imagine if walay stopper ang inyong tongue, pag matulog mo, matukan mo sa inyong kaugalingong tongue. It's because hindi siya fixed, okay? So it limits the movement of the tongue posteriorly, palikod, para di mo ma-choke. Imagine makaon, maswallow ni mo imuhang tongue because walay stopper. So this lingual frenulum is like a stopper. It limits the movement of the tongue posteriorly, okay? Sige. Meron tayong tinatawag na case in which ginaingon nato putol og dila, di ba? Like for example, if you're going to pronounce S, mahimong F, murag ingan ana. So that condition is what you call the ankyloglossia. Okay? Ankyloglossia is also termed as tongue-tied. Okay? It is a result in impairment of speech. Okay? So yan siya, tongue-tied or maliit, short ang tongue. Okay? Hindi ibig sabihin na putol ang dila. Maiksi lang yung tongue. Okay? That's why there is a impairment in speech or sa pag-pronounce and sa diction. So that is ankyloglossia. Okay? Next, let's proceed with the mouth or the teeth rather. So we have here a picture, a diagram of a teeth. Okay? Or of a tooth rather. Kasi isa lang siya. So your teeth is capped with enamel or enameloid, okay? And we have the two basic anatomy of the teeth. We have the crown and we also have the base, okay? Isa-isahin natin from the crown. So dito muna tayo kay crown. So when we say crown, it is the part of the tooth projecting above the gum line. Okay? It is the part of the tooth projecting above the gum line. So ito yung nakikita natin. If mag-smile ka, mauna siya. That is the crown. Ang root, di na ito makitaan because it is buried under our gums. Okay? So your crown is the part of the tooth that is projected above the gum line. Okay. Now we have different structures pa here sa crown. We have the cusp, we have the enamel, and the dentin. Isa-isahin natin. When we say dentin, it is a protein-rich bone-like material, underlies the enamel cap, and forms the bulk of a tooth. Okay, so ito siya yung pinaka-loob ng tooth, si dentin. Okay, so meron tayong cells that are present in our tooth or in our teeth that is responsible for the secretion of dentin, and that is what you call the odontoblast. Again, the odontoblast secretes the dentin, which creates the bulk of the tooth. Okay, next we have the enamel. The enamel is a brittle ceramic-like material thick as a dime. It directly bears the force of chewing. So ito si enamel. And then we have the cusp. The cusp are ridges in your teeth. This one allows for you to tear down your food. Kani siya, the cusp. Diba? Yung cusp natin, yung ating teeth is hindi naman siya flat lang ang surface. Hindi siya pantay ang surface. So merong may matutulis na part sa ating teeth. That is your cusp. Okay? These are ridges. Next, under the root. The structures that are found in the root of the tooth is the pulp cavity. So the pulp cavity contains a number of soft tissue structures. So dito natin makikita yung ating connective tissue, yung blood vessels, and we also have the nerve fibers. Okay? And then your pulp cavity extends towards an opening, which is what you call the apical foramen. The apical foramen is the opening sa root ng ating ngipin. And then we have ngipin. And then we also have the cementum, and we also have the root canal, which is still part of the pulp cavity. Okay? So again, the root or the base of the teeth is the region below the gum line. Okay? Next. Let's proceed with the pharynx. So what is a pharynx? A pharynx is a funnel-shaped tube that extends from the internal nares to the esophagus posteriorly and to the larynx anteriorly. Pharynx actually is composed of three types. We have the nasopharynx, the oropharynx, and we also have the laryngopharynx. But for the digestive system, ang magagamit lang for digestive system is the oropharynx and the laryngopharynx because of course the nasopharynx is for the respiratory system. So ang meron dito sa ating digestive system is the two types of pharynx, which is the oro and the laryngo. So from the mouth, the food is passed to the oropharynx and the laryngopharynx. So both the oro and the laryngo are passageway for food, fluids, and also the air. So dito sa diagram, we have here the oropharynx and we have here the laryngopharynx. Okay? Next. Esophagus. So esophagus is also called as the gullet. It is 25 cm or it is 10 inches long. Imagine that's very long. Collapses when not in use. Okay? So di na siya always naka-open. So this is your esophagus. So paano ba nagpapass through yung food? So first is you are going to chew the food. Dito po yan sa ating oral cavity. So pwede natin siyang gamitan ng ating teeth in order to cut through and tear the food. And then your salivary glands will secrete saliva for the chemical digestion of the food. Yung chewing natin is what you call the mechanical digestion, and the chemical digestion is when the salivary glands will secrete saliva to break down the food. And then if you're going to swallow it, dadaan na siya kay oropharynx and laryngopharynx, and then straight towards the esophagus. Okay? This one here, the epiglottis will close off the larynx for the incoming food para of course hindi siya pupunta sa ating lung or di tayo mabulunan. Okay? Next, what is deglutition? So deglutition is the act of swallowing, which allows food to move from the mouth towards the stomach. So what are the two phases of deglutition? We have the buccal phase and we have the pharyngeal esophageal phase. So let's discuss the two. Okay. So buccal phase first. Okay, during the buccal phase, the upper esophageal sphincter is contracted. So saan si upper esophageal sphincter? Ito po, nakakontract kasi as we have said, the esophagus is collapsed when not in use. So kapag nag-chew ka pa lang ng food mo, the sphincter is still contracted, meaning naka-close. The tongue presses against the hard palate. Diba? Kapag nag-chew ka, your tongue will press against your hard palate, forcing the food bolus into the oropharynx if you're going to chew already or you're going to swallow. Next, after the buccal phase, dadaan siya kay pharyngeal esophageal phase. And then the uvula and larynx will rise to prevent food from entering the respiratory passageways. The tongue blocks of the mouth and the upper esophageal sphincter relaxes. So pag nag-relax na ito, yung food natin is makakadaan na siya, allowing food to enter the esophagus. And we have the constrictor muscles of the pharynx contract. Okay, ito. Contract, forcing food into the esophagus inferiorly para isa lang yung way niya, hindi siya dadaan sa different respiratory passageways. The upper esophageal sphincter contracts and closes after the food enters. So after naman, makapasok na ng food ito sa esophagus, magko-contract ulit yung ating esophagus. Okay? Next. After that, peristalsis moves the food through the esophagus towards the stomach. So again, para naman makadaan na yung ating food sa ating stomach, tapos magiging nutrition na siya for the whole body, we need to have peristalsis. Okay? Peristalsis and other types and other muscle contractions sa ating abdomen. And then we have the last, the gastroesophageal sphincter surrounding the cardiac orifice ng ating stomach will open and para makapasok na yung ating food. Okay? Next, the stomach. Speaking of, the stomach is J-shaped, ayan, connects esophagus towards the duodenum. The duodenum is a part of your small intestine. Okay? So yung stomach ang nagko-connect sa esophagus at sa small intestine. Okay? Next, temporary storage tank where chemical breakdown of proteins begins and food is converted to a creamy paste called chyme or chyme. Your stomach actually has 4 divisions. We have here the cardia. Ito po siya. That's the cardia. The cardia marks the transition between the esophagus and the stomach. Okay? Next is we have the fundus, this one here. The fundus is a rounded portion superior to and to the left of the cardia. So, that's just sa left part ng cardia and also superior ng ating stomach. Next is we have the body. The body here of the stomach is the inferior to the fundus and is a large central portion of the stomach. See, body is a large central portion of the stomach. And then we have the pylorus. The pylorus is this area right here. Malaki si pylorus eh. Pylorus is a region of the stomach that connects to the duodenum. So, ito po siya yung region ng stomach or specific region ng stomach na kokonekta doon sa ating small intestine. Okay? Particularly the duodenum. Now, your pylorus has 2 parts. We have the pyloric antrum, this one here, and we also have the pyloric canal, this one here. See, it is divided by this broken line. Okay. The pyloric antrum connects to the body of the stomach. So, itong si pyloric antrum, i-connect niya yung body, i-connect niya yung pylorus sa body ng stomach. Okay? Para mag-isa sila. While the pyloric sphincter naman, while the pyloric canal naman leads into the duodenum. What does this do, the pyloric sphincter? The pyloric sphincter. The pyloric sphincter is a smooth muscle sphincter in which pylorus communicates with the duodenum. Okay, so si pyloric sphincter will communicate with the duodenum. Then we also have here the rugae. Yung rugae is ito. Kaning murag spaghetti. Okay. The rugae is, these are large folds in the mucosa of the stomach. Okay. And then we have the 2 curvatures. We have the lesser curvature and we have the greater curvature. The lesser curvature is concave and is the medial border of the stomach. Okay, concave and the medial border of the stomach. Si greater curvature naman kasi palabas siya, it is convex and it is the lateral border of the stomach. This one here, the duodenum, this is the first segment of the small intestine. We are going to discuss that one. Okay, dito na tayo kay pancreas. Si pancreas again is a accessory digestive organ. So your pancreas is about 12 to 15 cm. Or that's 5 to 6 inches long and 2.5 cm or 1 inch thick. Okay. So the pancreas is situated posterior to the greater curvature of the stomach. So let's proceed with the greater curvature of the stomach. A little bit of recap. So dire, posterior daw siya aning greater curvature of the stomach. Diyan makikita si pancreas. Okay. It is also called as telephone shaped. Okay. And then we have 3 parts of the pancreas. We have the tail, the body, and we have the head of the pancreas. Tail, body, and we have the head. So what does your pancreas do? So your pancreas releases enzymes. So we have different types of enzymes. We have the pancreatic amylase, which are starch digesting enzymes. We have the trypsin, chromatotrypsin, and the carboxypeptidase. And we also have the elastase. These 4 are protein digesting enzymes. We have the pancreatic lipase, in which it digests triglyceride. And then we have the ribonuclease and deoxyribonuclease, in which are nucleic acid digesting enzymes. Okay? Take note of that. The pancreas, however, meron siyang actual site for the production of insulin and glucagon. So yung actual production site of insulin and glucagon inside the pancreas is what you call the islets of Langerhans. Okay? What does your insulin do? Your insulin regulates the amount of glucose in the blood, which helps keep your blood sugar level from getting too high, while your glucagon raises the concentration of glucose in the bloodstream. So if kulang ka og sugars imong lawas, you need to take glucagon or glucose. If sobrahan pod ang imuhang blood sugar content, then you are going to take insulin. If the pancreas no longer can provide much, okay, or can no longer suffice. Kasi nga, due to age and too many complications. So you need to take medications next. The liver. So the liver is an accessory digestive organ. It is called as the heaviest gland. It weighs about 1.4 kilos or 3 pounds, and it is found at the right hypochondriac and part of the epigastric regions. Okay. The main function of the liver is to filter the blood coming from the digestive tract before passing through the rest of the body. Okay. Next, your liver also detoxifies chemicals and metabolizes drugs. It also secretes bile. Okay. What does this bile do? It increases the absorption of fats, or it catabolizes fats, or it breaks down fats into fatty acids para ginagmay gin siya. So if this bile is secreted by the liver, it is now stored sa ating gallbladder. So mga about 800 to 1,000 ml per day yung nasa-secrete na bile ng ating liver. And the cells that are and the cells which are responsible for the secretion of the bile is the hepatocytes. Okay? Next. We have 4 lobes of the liver. We have the right, left, caudate, and the quadrate. Okay, so this is the posterior view of the liver. Okay, hindi siya anterior view. Sa talikod na to ni siya view. This is the gallbladder, the green one. So we have the 4 lobes of the liver. We have the right, the caudate, the quadrate, and we have the left lobe. Okay, so your liver naman has 8 segments. So iba po yung liver, iba po yung lobes ng liver, and magkaiba din po yung segments ng ating liver. Okay, let's proceed with the gallbladder. The gallbladder is a muscular sac about 10 cm or 4 inches long. It stores bile that is not immediately needed for digestion. So pag di pa kailangan, para dili siya masayang, then the gallbladder will store it. So bile can form stones if cholesterol content is high. So when it contracts, kapag nagko-contract ang ating gallbladder to secrete the bile, for example, your liver is your hepatocytes, your cells which are necessary or responsible for the production of bile sa ating liver, maghimo siya bile or mag-secrete siya og bile, and then pag nasobrahan, iso-store niya kay gallbladder. Now, if yung bile is of high cholesterol content, then it will form biliary calculi or gallbladder stones. Okay, mo na siyang ginatawag na bato sa inyong apdo. Okay, that's gallbladder stones. If you're going to digest a food, tapos you needed bile for the digestion of that certain food, your gallbladder will contract para ma-secrete niya yung bile na na-store niya. Okay? And when it will contract, kapag meron kang gallbladder calculi or biliary calculi or yung stones sa inyong apdo, then it will cause a sharp pain. Okay? That's why you need to have it removed. It will create a blockage, okay, sa inyong gallbladder. And bile cannot enter the intestine. So kapag try siya secrete, since daghan na kay ang stone, di na makagawas ang bile, papunta sa inyong intestine, then yellow bile pigments will accumulate in the blood, causing yellowish color of the skin and eyes, also called as the jaundice. Muna ang uban, marag yellowish ka, marag gihepa, it's because of that. Kasi sobraan na yung stone sa inyong gallbladder in which yung bile hindi na siya nakakalabas. And then it will create a yellow bile pigments na mag-accumulate doon sa ating blood. That's why yung blood natin is all over our body. So if your blood is color yellow, then magpipigment din yung ating skin ng color yellow. That's why you will appear yellowish yung eyes, yellowish ang skin, okay? Lahi ra pod ang yellowish ang ngipon. Okay? Wala na ipanot brush. But aside from that, yellowish ang eyes, yellowish ang skin, that is what you call the jaundice. But not all na yellowish ang skin and yellowish ang eyes, it's because of a blockage doon sa gallbladder. Okay? Meron din yung iba na from the liver disease itself. Merong disease sa kanilang liver, may something wrong, merong pathology sa kanilang liver which causes them to look yellowish. Pero jaundice gihapon ang term or ang definition ana nga in ana na case. Pag yellowish yung skin, yellowish ang eyes, and everything. Okay? Next, the small intestine. Okay, your small intestine It is where digestion and absorption of nutrients, vitamins, and minerals occur. Okay. Your small intestine is about 3 meters long or 10 feet. Okay, so that is your small intestine. Your small intestine has three parts. We have the duodenum. Ito siya yung nakakabit sa ating stomach. Can you still remember? The jejunum. Okay, and we have the ileum. The duodenum here is the shortest region. That's about 25 cm or 10 inches. And your jejunum is about 1 meter or 3 feet. And the ileum here is the longest, which is 2 meters or 6 feet. Okay? Next, we have the large intestine. It functions as completion of absorption, formation of feces, expulsion of feces. So your large intestine is about 1.5 meters or 5 meters long. Opening from the ileum into the large intestine is guarded by a fold of mucous membrane called the ileocecal sphincter or the valve. So this is your large intestine. So your large intestine, okay, isa-isahin natin. We have here the ascending colon, we have the transverse colon, the descending colon, and we have the sigmoid, we have the rectum, the anal canal, and we have the anus. Okay. So your appendix is found dito sa right side, right lower quadrant of your large intestine, and as well as your cecum. Okay? So your ascending colon, ang part dito sa may transverse that connects so ang part na which connects the transverse and the ascending colon is your right colic, or that is what you call your hepatic flexure. And then dito naman sa ating descending colon, and between the transverse and descending colon is the left colic or the splenic flexure. So this one here is the left side. This one here naman is the right side of the colon. Okay. The cecum here is the inferior to the valve of the ileocecal sphincter. Okay.
And lastly, we have the appendix hanging from the cecum. So that's it for our discussion on digestive system, and I'll see you guys on our next lecture.